listening to Reality Wrap. I'm your host, Melanie. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hey guys, hope everybody is doing well out there. Today I'm going to be recapping last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 14, Episode 7. Before I start the recap, I just want to take this moment to say how much I am appreciating how Garcelle is steering the conversations with all these ladies to get information from them this season. Even though most of the storylines going on this season don't directly involve Garcelle, she's very good at driving them and getting these women to talk in a productive conversation. I have to say that I really did enjoy last night's episode. I'm going to give it a solid B+. Everybody was clocked in, even Boze, who had surgery, but she was still filming while she was recovering. Everybody just went to her house to film. So last night's episode started where we're back at the table in the Viper room with Dorit and Kyle fighting over Kyle texting PK. I thought there was going to be a little bit more drama when at the end of last episode, we saw Erika kind of holding on to Dorit, but it was pretty anticlimactic is the way they kind of built it up at the end of last episode to the beginning of this episode. Nothing really happened other than they were screaming at each other. Like I said on my last recap, I'm so used to the fights on Salt Lake City that I am expecting it on Beverly Hills, and it's just a totally different franchise. Garcelle asks Dorit how she knew that Kyle was texting PK, and Dorit says that she had no idea, that she just asked. I was a little confused when I was watching this last night because I thought Erika was the one that told her that Kyle was texting with PK. So I went back to the episode where they were getting ready when they were going to the Viper room and Dorit and Erika were on the phone. And I guess Erika didn't tell her. Dorit just said to her, I know at one time Kyle and PK used to talk on the phone all the time. Do you think they're still talking? And Erika says, I don't know. You should ask her. I guess that's where I got confused. Maybe there was a little birdie in Dorit's ear letting her know that PK and Kyle were still talking, and that's how it drove her to ask Kyle directly. I don't know. For whatever reason, Garcelle decides that this is a good time to ask Dorit how she's actually doing with everything going on with her and PK. And Dorit's like, do you genuinely want to know? Now, I don't know if Garcelle was trying to divert the conversation away from the fight, but it definitely seemed like a bad time to ask Dorit. Dorit kind of is like, I'm done, I'm getting up and I'm leaving. And so she walks out. I do think that Garcelle was being genuine when she asked that. Like I said, her timing just seemed off, but again, maybe she was trying to divert the conversation. But given their history, I think Dorit thought that maybe she was being shady or sneaky in some way, even though I don't think that was what Garcelle's intention was. Back inside the Viper room, Kyle is saying, I can't believe I lost it, or man, I really lost it. And Boze tells her, well, maybe Dorit just wanted to get it all out. And Sutton says, well, Kyle doesn't deserve it. And Bo's like, how do you know if she deserves it or not? Maybe things have changed between them. And she's got a point. They did used to be really close, and then obviously something changed, and that is no longer the case. The next day, Kyle goes over to Sutton's. She tells Sutton that she's still pissed off about last night with Dorit, that she still has her panties in a bunch. Kyle tells her that her veins only pop out of her head when she gets upset. And the last time that happened was with Camille. And then we got the flashback of that. And I can't remember what those two were talking about in that moment when she was like, you're such a liar, Camille. I just remember her saying that. Sutton tells us in her talking head that she thinks Kyle doesn't like it when people stand up to her. And for years, Dorit has cowered to Kyle, and now she's not. It's hard to tell whether Sutton actually likes Kyle or not, because to her face, it seems like they're friends. But then in all of her talking head moments, she's kind of shading Kyle. I guess we could say the same thing with Erika about Sutton. To Sutton's face, it really seems like Erika likes her, but then in her talking head moments, she's definitely shading Sutton when she was talking about how this kumbaya come together sisterhood thing was total bullshit. So I don't know. These girls are like, to their faces, they're nice to each other, but then in the talking heads, they shade each other. Garcelle arrives and they go hit tennis balls, and once they're finished playing, they go and they sit down for lunch. Kyle tells them that after her fight with Dorit, the first person she called was Mo, and that he told her that he had been talking to PK and PK had been really down, and she told him that she can't be friends with PK anymore, and Mo said that was really stupid. Of course, a man is going to say that because he doesn't understand girl code, right? Garcelle repeats what she had said the night before, that she would have a problem with somebody talking to her ex. Kyle tells her, well, it's different because you had infidelity in your marriage. And Sutton says, well, so did you. Kyle tries to play it off like, what are you talking about? And Sutton tells her, well, you talked about it. And they flash back to the reunion where Kyle was saying that Mo did something where she couldn't trust him or something along those lines. Now, do I think it was kind of rude of Sutton to say that when she knows that Kyle hasn't been fully transparent about Mo cheating? I do. Did I love watching Kyle squirm when Sutton said that? I did. Sutton really looked at Kyle as a friend outside of filming for this show. I really don't think she would have said that. Now, in her talking head, she kind of plays it off like, oh, whoops, I just let the dumbest thing slip out of my mouth. But I think she knew what she was doing. And I enjoyed every minute of it. Kyle tells them that she is mad about the way Dorit went about it. Sutton asks her, did PK ever talk to you about their relationship? And she says, no, never, which I have a comment to, because later on in this episode, when Kyle reads what she had texted to PK, she says to him in this text, that's always such a hard word to say, that she will not repeat anything he has said or will say to her. So it makes me think that he did talk about their relationship to her when she had just told these guys that he hasn't. So methinks Kyle is lying, and she kind of screws herself later on in this episode. Erika and Dorit meet at the designer's place to talk about Erika's renovation. They look at furniture. According to the designer, plants are good as long as they're real, which is good because I have finally figured out how to keep my plants alive. For the longest time, I had such a green thumb. Right now, I have about 4 pretty good-sized plants that I have been able to keep alive. So I'm pretty happy about that. Erika talks about how renovating her house, it really means a lot to her because now it means that she's past just surviving. She's now thriving, which I totally get. But I have to say, this is not the most exciting thing to talk about. I'm interested in seeing the final product once it's all finished, but I'm not really interested in seeing the journey getting to the final product. Although maybe it gives Dorit and Erika to film scenes together by themselves, all in the name of, I need Dorit to help me with this renovation. Maybe that's the angle they're going with. Dorit brings up how she loves her friendship with Boze, but apparently people in the group have an issue, and we get a flashback of Boze, Dorit, and Erika all walking. Boze tells them that Sutton brought up how she was talking a lot with Dorit, and Boze was like, yeah, well, I'm getting to know her. In the after show, Kyle basically said that Dorit is friends with Boze because she needs somebody in the group.
I know that Dorit came into this season feeling like I need a friend and an ally, otherwise I'm screwed in this group.
What an absolute shitty thing to say. Kyle, could she not just like Boze for who she is because Boze is a really great woman and they happen to get along? Does it really need to have an ulterior motive because that's how you think? Erika asks Dorit what she needs to move forward with Kyle, and Dorit tells her, I really feel like Kyle texting PK is kind of secretive. Why doesn't she just tell me? Why did she hide it from me? If the tables were turned, I was texting Mo, would Kyle be okay with it? And of course, Erika says no, because we all have been saying that. We've watched Kyle over the years. She is very jealous, and she would absolutely have a problem with one of her friends texting Mo while they're going through their separation. Over at Boze's house, she is getting ready to go have fibroid surgery. I guess she has a fibroid Band-Aid the size of a grapefruit, which is huge. Boze tells us that she's 47 years old, but she still wants to have a child, and that she and Keely have been talking about kids. I guess he's 48 and he doesn't have any kids, but he still wants to have 1 to 3. I'm like, dude, it's kind of getting late in life to have 3 kids. Boze doesn't know if their relationship will change if she comes out of this surgery and she's not able to have kids. I would hope that their relationship wouldn't change if she came out of this surgery and for whatever reason she couldn't carry a baby, which realistically, even at 48, there are a lot of complications that can go on with somebody who's older who carries a baby. Look what happened with Kenya. I mean, she had all kinds of issues. I think she was like 48 or 49 years old when she had her child. So they can always use a surrogate if she can't carry a child. And even if she could carry a child, I think that might be the better route to go. But if he's only looking at her as somebody he can have babies with and she comes out of the surgery and she can't, maybe he's not the guy for her. Later on in the day, Kyle stops by to see how Boze is doing after her surgery, and she tells us in her talking head that Boze's comment about her breaking the girl code really hurt her feelings, and that she wants to make an effort to get to know Boze. Of course, now that Boze is friends with Dorit, she can't have somebody agreeing with Dorit, so she needs to go over and try to win Boze over. But don't worry, Boze is a smart lady, and she knows exactly what Kyle is doing. So they start talking about what happened at the Viper Room, which seems weird considering that Boze just had surgery. I mean, Boze seemed fine with it, but I'm like, really? Like the day of her surgery, you're going to go over there and start talking about your issues with Dorit, especially considering you haven't really gotten a chance to know her, and that's the thing you go over to talk to her about after her surgery? Seems a little weird and obvious. She also makes a comment on how her flowers are prettier than the ones that Dorit sent. And I'm like, is this a competition? What a petty thing to say. Kyle tells Boze that Dorit is trying to make her out to be somebody she's not. I don't think Dorit is trying to make her out to be anything. She's just telling her facts. She asked her if she was texting PK. She says yes. She says, that makes me uncomfortable considering we're not in a good place. So she's just telling her how she feels, but somehow Kyle perceives that as Dorit is making her out to be this monster or whatever. No, Kyle, it's just inappropriate. And everybody at the table said so. Boze tells Kyle that she thinks that Kyle and Dorit are on different pages when it comes to their friendship. She tells her, I have 100 best friends, and I have one best friend that thinks that she's my only friend. And she gets mad when she sees me out with other people. This might be the same thing with Dorit, which very well could be the case, but it did seem like when her and Mo were still together and PK and Dorit were still together, they hung out as couples outside of the show. So I don't know, but that doesn't mean necessarily that her and Dorit were like super tight or anything. Kyle tells her what she thinks is a close friendship is different than what Dorit does. She shares everything and Dorit shares nothing. But luckily we see a flashback of Dorit talking about her marriage issues with PK. So Kyle, you're full of shit. She absolutely was sharing with you. And sometimes when you kind of don't know what's going on in your marriage, maybe you don't feel comfortable telling somebody else until you work through it. And then you could say, yeah, we were having issues, but we worked through it. Or in this case, they didn't work through it. Boze tells us in her talking head that Dorit told her about her marriage issues the first time they met. So she's really questioning that Dorit didn't tell Kyle about it, which we all know she did. We saw it being filmed. Boze tells Kyle that Dorit told her that she thought it was weird that Kyle didn't show her the text between her and PK. And Kyle tells her, well, I guess you would think that way if you were a manipulative person. And I was like, wow, Kyle, you are one to talk. Kyle then pulls out her phone and tells Boze that there was a rumor started about Dorit and Mo and that it was all over the internet and Dorit had to go and defend herself. And she shows her a screen grab of when Dorit kissed Mo on the shoulder, which I am not going to lie, I thought that was very odd. But it was right after her home invasion. It was a group hug. She was hugging on the outside of everybody. Maybe her emotions just got the best of her. I don't know. I don't know what that kiss was. What I found odd also is, does she just happen to keep that screen grab on her phone? I think that kiss on the shoulder bothered Kyle more than she let on, especially after social media had a field day with it and everybody was like, oh my God, what was this kiss on the shoulder? Dorit has a thing for Mo or whatever. I think there's definitely some underlying disdain over the whole issue. And maybe that's kind of where their friendship started falling apart. Once you have that underlying problem, it just kind of festers. And now Dorit is standing up for herself and pushing back on Kyle, and Kyle doesn't like that. Kyle and Garcelle go over to Sutton's house. The three of them have planned a pizza party for Erika because of what she said about not getting one when she was down and out. And they show a bunch of flashbacks of her like, where's my pizza party? Where's my pizza party? Sutton tells us that she did not invite Dorit because neither Sutton or Kyle are getting along with her. And Boze is still recovering from her surgery, so it's just going to be the four of them. They show up over at Erika's house, and she's confused because she thought she was just going out with Kyle. So they get in the car, and Erika's like, I feel like this is a setup. Maybe I'm being whisked off to a private jet. So they blindfold her, and they pull up to Chucky Cheese. And they tell her, this is the ultimate pizza party. I have not been to a Chucky Cheese since my kids were little, but I do remember that their pizza was not good, but they did have all the games, so at least that is fun. And it's not like these women actually eat pizza anyways, right? We see them go play all the games, and then they come and they sit down to eat their pizza. And Sutton tells Erika that it is remarkable that she has been able to pull herself up from where she was, which I find kind of funny because Sutton really was the one who was really questioning her back when all the Tom Girardi stuff comes out. And now she's kind of like, oh my God, good for you. I cannot understand these women's friendships. Erika starts talking about how she will never get married again, but she would like somebody in her life. Kyle then asks Sutton about her, and she says, right now my business is making me happy, and so I'm not really interested in dating any men. Kyle then brings up how her girls told her that they would be devastated if they just saw her laying in bed crumbling after she and Mo split up. Garcelle brings up how there aren't a lot of boundaries between her and Mo because they're always calling and talking to each other and FaceTiming each other. And in her talking head, Garcelle tells us that she thinks that Kyle and Mo don't really know what they want yet with this separation, specifically Kyle, which I have to agree with because at the beginning of this season, Kyle seemed so shocked that Mo was able to go out and get an apartment and buy furniture and buy himself sheets and towels. And he was like, yeah, I'm good on all of that. I don't need your help with that. And she seemed almost hurt by that. So I will have to agree with Garcelle, even though I think Kyle was the one who initiated the separation. She now seems like she doesn't know what she wants. But Mo really seems to have moved on. Kyle tells them that Mo is very much enjoying the condo life. And I'm sure by condo life, she means dating the young chippies. Come on, I can read between the lines. Garcelle then, out of the blue, tells Kyle that she's going to be really blunt.
I'm going to be 100% blunt.
Okay.
Do whatever the you want to do. Be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
If you want to be a lesbian, be a lesbian.
What'd you say?
Oh, Garcelle. Garcelle, what?
Garcelle asks the questions that sometimes I secretly want to ask, but I ain't doing it.
We are women of a certain age. We're people's mothers. We're bosses. We're businesswomen. Be whoever you want to be.
See, I love how Garcelle just put it out there. Erika's right. She asks the questions that everybody else is too scared to ask. And I love it. And she's not wrong. Kyle, you're like 55. You've been dancing around this whole relationship with Morgan, although not this season so much. If you're in a relationship with Morgan or some other woman, Kesha, whoever, just say it. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Erika changes the subject to how she met Dorit at the designer, that they spoke about the fight over the texting with PK and how Dorit just wants to know if they're actually texting. And Kyle tells her, I am an adult and I am not going to pull out my phone but then proceeds to pull out her phone and show them the text that she sent to PK when PK and Dorit made their announcement about getting separated.
I'm going to do this because today I will show you guys this. I'm not going to do this again. Not for her or anybody, okay? Because I think it's ridiculous. But I'm going to tell you right here, when they made the announcement, I said, I know you have a lot of friends, but I am also one, and here if you need me. I've never repeated anything you've shared with me and never would.
Wait a minute. This is not just about memes and jokes. This is serious talk.
So they have shared things about Dorit or relationship or whatever that no one else knows about. All this time, Kyle is really defending that it's just memes, so it's not all true.
We'll keep sending memes and won't forget laughing emojis. That is what I wrote to him.
So is Kyle telling PK that he can confide in her considered being a girl's girl to Dorit? I don't think so. I also wonder if she preemptively deleted any other texts she might have had on her phone between her and PK, knowing that she was going to show these guys what she said to him. I did put a poll on my Instagram today asking if Kyle's text to PK was inappropriate. And so far, 6% says no, they're friends, and 94% said it's against girl code, and 0% said maybe. So I guess that is where the general consensus stands, at least on Instagram, is that Kyle texting PK is against girl code. If you want to participate in my poll, go over to my Instagram, Reality Rap Podcast, and you can vote in it there. We're now back over at Boze's. She is still recovering. Garcelle comes over with some food, and I love how irritated everybody gets when they have to take off their shoes at Boze's house. I also do not like shoes in my house. I don't ask people to take them off, but most people just do it. I know I take my shoes off when I go over to other people's houses. I don't care so much if somebody's just coming over for a quick visit and they don't take off their shoes. But if you're staying at my house and you're wearing your shoes all over my house and all over my carpets and my rugs, it drives me insane. And we do have people that come to visit us and stay with us who wear their shoes the whole time. And it drives me nuts. Boze tells Garcelle that she wants to know what's going on with everything. And Garcelle tells her that Dorit is up her coochie, which is such an odd thing to say about somebody's friend. And even Boze's assistant, Nico, looked up and was like, what? What did she just say? Boze tells us in her talking head that she likes Dorit, and just because all these other girls don't doesn't mean that she can't, which is 100% true. Garcelle tells Boze that she always feels like she's taking 2 steps forward with Dorit and 3 steps back. Boze tells her that she sees a woman who is struggling with her marriage and also her best friend, and she wants to be a bridge. Garcelle starts to explain that Kyle and Dorit were close and then it changed, and then brings up how Kyle read the text to PK to all of them and how it said that she would never share what he tells her with anybody. And Boze is like, no, Kyle is not just sending memes and jokes. It's going to be interesting to see how Kyle tries to spin this in her favor, because all of these women think that that text was inappropriate, and it indicates that PK and Kyle were talking about PK's relationship with Dorit, because she's like, I will never share what you've told me or anything you will tell me. So I cannot wait till next week's episode. It looks like Boze gets Kyle to read the text to the group at the spa, and then we see her crying and leaving. And supposedly Kyle took a week off from filming this season, and my guess is that it was right after next week's episode. So we're going to have to wait till next week to see what happens, but it looks like it's going to be good. Tonight we have the season finale of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and it looks so good. So I will be back either tomorrow or Friday with my recap. So I will talk to you guys then. Bye.